Hey everyone, John here, with a grab bag of games that I played at Gamescom 2025. This is going to be fairly high profile stuff and also just some cool indie stuff. And I want to talk about Borderlands 4 first. So we've talked about most of the Nintendo show floor thus far, but I also played Borderlands 4 on Switch 2. This was docked, it ran at 30 FPS, and it looked pretty good. I'd say on the main menu when choosing your character, that character model was a little on the blurry side, but it's not like you really see that much in actual gameplay. And the actual gameplay itself was totally fine. It was Borderlands, it ran well. It hitched once, like for just maybe half a second, there was a small little hitch. But otherwise, it was great. I went through the menus trying to find whether there was a mouse mode or gyro controls. It was all in German, and I'm not a German man. But I tried toggling stuff. No gyro seemed to turn on. Maybe it'll be in the final product though, or maybe I just missed it. But yeah, it definitely just seemed like a competent, good way to play Borderlands 4. Looked nice, ran well apart from that hitch, and was just good. I'm not much of a Borderlands guy, so I'm afraid I'm not the best person to ask about this, but technically, it ran totally fine. And it was cool. Now, let's talk about a game that I'm far more interested in, and I wasn't at all before playing it, and that's Yooka Replaylee. So I was actually playing the standard ukulele not that long ago for a different video, so it's pretty fresh in my mind, and Yooka Replaylee resembles it so little. The level I played was the first world in the game, and the general level design skeleton is the same, so you'll recognize a lot of the landscape, but the objective and how you move around it is totally different. For one, Yooka just controls differently. There's no double jump anymore. Instead of double jumping, there's just a better regular jump, and it feels great. And one thing you'll recognize immediately is they were heavily influenced by Mario Odyssey. So when you get a Pagey, you get a very similar Mario and Cappy pose, and just the general objectives are very Mario Odyssey-ish. There were so many Pages that felt like moons in that game. And just the general tightness of control and everything just really mirrored Mario Odyssey in a really good way. Essentially, they have remade this game. This isn't just a visual facelift, they've gone in and changed the core design philosophies of Yooka-Laylee. The levels may look familiar, but there's so much more packed in them. It's one of those games now where you can just go to a high cliff and pan the camera around and see like 30 things of interest. They've really crammed so much more into Yooka-Laylee to make it a different game. And I was hesitant. I wasn't that excited about revisiting Yooka-Laylee. I liked the original game enough, but I think the base was just kind of flawed to the point where I couldn't really see a visual facelift making a difference. But no, they've made a different game in here, and it's super, super interesting. I spoke to some of the developers from Playtonic as well, and they basically told me they looked at all the feedback, both positive and negative, and they took it to heart. Yooka-Laylee was their passion project, so some of that negative criticism hurt to take on board, but they did it and made a very different game with that legitimate feedback. I'd go as far to say that this was my biggest surprise of the show. I really had no will or eagerness to play this, but then once I finally sat down and did it, I was just pleasantly surprised. This is a really great game, and that's coming from someone who didn't really feel that about Yooka-Laylee. Next up, we have Denshattack, which you might remember as the Crazy Train game from Opening Night Live. And this game is just flippin' awesome. You're going down the rail as this high-octane train, and sometimes you've got a shift rail, sometimes you've got a jump, sometimes you can drift. And it's just mixing all of these things together on the fly, using your muscle memory to get past all of it, that makes it feel so satisfying. It's like a really colorful Jet Set Radio style thumper, with just so much optimism in there. Very different vibes to that game, but the general gameplay is very similar. This has boss battles, a cool cast of characters, and just so much flavor. There really aren't that many games like this. The closest comparison is Thumper, but apart from that, it's something all its own. Easily one of the best games I played at the entire show. And then I got to speak to a nice young man called Suda51, and he's making a game called Romeo is a Dead Man. And I think this is best described as No More Heroes, if you could pull out a gun while also hitting people. The general gameplay is very similar, so you can just go around, do these heavy attacks and light attacks with your melee weapon, but then hold down the left trigger and all of a sudden you've got a gun pulled out. And it's mixing those mechanics together with also kind of like the Travis Strikes Again, gauntlet. So you've got these powers as well to mix together with, these more visceral attacks. It's a really cool mix, and this game's just throwing so many different art styles at you. You know, the intro's kind of this low poly, low shaded, really attractive, colourful look. But then you also get more of a, an 8-bit style. You also get this like live action scene if you die with just a man's face but peeling off. There's some extreme stuff, but it's so cool seeing all this merged together. And it really complements the basic art style, which is really quite a grounded one. But these bounce off each other in a really visceral and cool way. And Suda told me that the Japanese translation for Romeo and Juliet is no good, so this is going to be Japan's take on Romeo and Juliet, and now they'll understand Shakespeare. We've got to talk about Unbeatable. I've been following this game for a very long time, and if you're a fan of Rhythm Heaven, you should be. This should be on your radar. It's one of the coolest games that's coming up right now. The art and the story are just so cool. It takes place in a world where music is illegal, and so you go through and do all these like rhythm mini games in a very Rhythm Heaven-y style. And it's just so well put together. So much diversity and variation and just pure style. I'm playing one of the trailers over this footage right now, and I strongly believe these guys make some of the best trailers in the biz. Go and listen to them without my commentary if you get a chance to, because they're just so well done, and the soundtrack is spectacular. This is out soon. Go play it. Go play it. Go play it in the future soon. Do it. Wishlist it on Steam. And the last game I want to talk about is Valor Mortis. This comes from the developers of Ghost Runner, which was a spectacular game, and they basically made first-person Dark Souls with this. So it's got everything that makes a Dark Souls game a Dark Souls game. There's a stamina meter which goes down when you either sprint or attack. There's a lock-on. There's a high difficulty level and really hard bosses. There's campfires. Everything that makes Dark Souls is in there. But it's really cool seeing it from this perspective, and they have added their own flavor in there as well. There's different sort of weapons you can get throughout the game. So you can either play with a sword, or you can equip a gun, or you can equip like electrical powers that come from your hands. So it's definitely a lot more fantasy-ish than a lot of the Dark Souls games. And it feels like it's pushing modern platforms further than From Software do. There's some levels here which are just scattered with corpses. You just rotate the camera around, you're going to see like 1,000 dead bodies. And they really did use their perspective for gameplay purposes as well. Like for example, the first boss, you can just try and avoid and slash, but he's got these little like weak point orbs on him, and if you aim and shoot them with your gun, you're going to deal more damage and stun him. So there's reason to aim, there's reason to be in first person. It's not just for the sake of it. There are gameplay utilities to this, and they all just merge together really, really well. So I had a great time with this one. Anyway, those are the remaining Gamescom games that I want to talk about. There are still a couple more Gamescom videos to come, but most of them are under embargo, so they'll be coming. It's scattershot throughout the future. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.